If you're thinking about leaving the Midwest for Southeast Florida, chances are that you've heard of two cities over and over again, Delray Beach and Boca Raton. Though these cities are only minutes apart, living in them feels very different. One feels artsy, energetic, very social. The other feels polished, private, and highly structured. So in this video, I'm going to break down the differences between Delray Beach and Boca Raton, the people, the lifestyle, the home prices, and the regulations that affect homeowners in each of these cities. By the end of this video, you'll have a better idea of which city fits you best. Let's begin with Delray. Delray is a Florida beach town with a vibrant personality. The city's known for being creative and gregarious. Delray is very nice, but not overly polished compared to Boca. The people here genuinely love being out on the social scene. And Atlantic Avenue is the heartbeat of the city. Here you have restaurants spilling out onto sidewalks, you have beach bars, you have live music almost every night of the week, art festivals, and a farmer's market. There's almost always something happening on Atlantic Avenue. The residents of Delray come from a variety of backgrounds. You have retirees and young families, entrepreneurs and remote workers. You have many people who work within the addiction recovery community here, and many of the people who graduate from those programs and decide to stay. It tends to be a very active group of people. People move to Delray because they want an outdoor social lifestyle with the beach town energy that Delray offers. This is the kind of place that you move to and end up discovering a whole group of people who are looking forward to meeting you. And as a resident of Delray, I can tell you I've not met many people here who do not appreciate the energy and the lifestyle that Delray offers. Now Boca has a very different feel. It's more refined, a little more socially reserved, and words like upscale and luxury are often used to describe Boca. Now this didn't happen by accident. It was largely shaped by the architect Addison Meisner. He had a vision for a beautiful, Mediterranean-inspired resort city with strict attention to the aesthetics, the architecture, and the quality of life. Though much of his original plans were never actually built, his inspiration can be seen throughout the city today. And this is why Boca feels so different than many of the other cities that make up Southeast Florida. And you will notice his influence immediately when you visit. Clean roadways, manicured landscaping, strict architectural standards, luxury shopping, private clubs, and gated communities everywhere. Boca attracts people who value this structure and these consistently high standards. A lot of executives, professionals, and affluent retirees are drawn here because Boca feels polished and formal. And for Midwest families relocating here, Boca offers something important. Peace of mind that you have access to top-rated schools. Boca Raton has some of the highest rated private and public schools in all of Palm Beach County. And unlike some Florida beach towns that can feel chaotic and a little over-touristy, Boca has a more calm, controlled atmosphere. Even downtown Boca has a more polished energy than Delray. Less beach party, more luxury resort. So who feels the most comfortable in Delray? Well, if you're someone who values walkability, spontaneity, social energy, and a little more personality, Delray usually wins. Especially if you're someone who likes a thriving nightlife with an active downtown, arts and culture, more local businesses than chains. Delray also attracts people who don't want to live behind the gates of a community or within strict HOAs. There's just a little bit more of a sense of freedom here. Not everywhere, of course, but compared to Boca, you'll definitely feel it. So who feels the most comfortable in Boca? Well, Boca tends to attract buyers who prioritize quieter neighborhoods, luxury amenities, gated communities, and country clubs. And for those relocating with kids, Boca becomes extremely attractive because the schools are consistently amongst the highest in Southeast Florida. And for those who enjoy a city that embraces order, Boca definitely delivers. Buyers from places like the suburbs of Chicago and affluent Midwest cities are often immediately comfortable in Boca because the structure and the values feel familiar. Now, here's something that most people don't think about before they move, but it matters way more than what you may think. Boca Raton and Delray Beach operate very differently when it comes to local regulations and homeowner experience. And here's what I mean by that. With Addison Meisner and his development throughout Boca, Boca is generally known as being way stricter. The city has stronger code enforcement and more aggressive architectural standards throughout most of the neighborhoods. And this results in tighter landscaping rules, a stricter approval process when it comes to exterior modifications, more requirements to get a permit, and generally less tolerant of casual Florida living. And for some buyers, that's a huge positive because it does an excellent job of protecting the home values throughout the community. The neighborhoods stay pristine and there's less variability when it comes to the curb appeal as you drive around the community. But if you are someone who wants more flexibility with things like the storage of RVs and boats, exterior changes, or more relaxed property use, Boca can begin to feel a little restrictive. That person may prefer Delray, which is generally more relaxed overall. There are, of course, still HOAs throughout the community, but overall, citywide, there's more flexibility and more individuality. You'll see more variation in the architecture, more mixed-use areas, and less of a master plan feel throughout the city. It is definitely not a free-for-all, but compared to Boca, it is less strict. And the trade-off is this: Delray can feel less uniform, and many people love this and say it allows them to feel more authentic, while others love the consistent aesthetic appeal of a place like Boca. Another major difference in Boca and Delray is the short-term rental enforcement. Over time, Delray has become more investor-friendly in certain parts of the city, while Boca has historically been very strict in most of its residential areas. If renting your house out in the future is something you're interested in, definitely do your research before you buy your house. Next, let's talk home prices, because while these cities are next to each other geographically, the buyer profiles and home prices can be very different, and Boca generally commands a higher price. Over the past 6 months, the median home sales price for a single-family home is $1,010,000, and for a condo, it's $299,950. You are paying a premium for luxury gated communities, country club properties, waterfront estates, and top-rated schools. Now, Delray has luxury inventory as well, but here you'll find more diverse housing options. The median home sales price over the last 6 months has been $875,000 for a single-family home and $185,000 for a condo. You'll find historic homes, beach cottages, newer townhomes, especially near downtown, waterfront properties, and like I said earlier in the video, more variation in the architecture throughout much of the neighborhoods. So here is the simplest way that I can summarize it. Delray Beach is more gregarious and active, while Boca Raton is more formal and manicured. One is not better than the other, they're just different versions of the Florida dream. And honestly, a lot of buyers don't know which one fits them best until they physically experience it. Videos like this and FaceTime tours can be extremely helpful, but nothing compares to visiting it in person. So if you are thinking about relocating to Southeast Florida and you want help comparing the communities and the neighborhoods within them, reach out anytime. I've worked with buyers for the last 14 years relocating from one state to the other, and I'd be more than happy to help you out. And if you found this helpful, check out this other video I made where I compare two very different cities from the two we talked about today.